Hey, man. Peace, 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 peace. Peace out there to you and yours. Actually, before I even get started, man, let me just say this. To anybody out there that may be feeling like there's no more reason to live, you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling like you're better off gone in this world, don't feel that way. Know that God loves you. Know that you're here for a purpose. You're here for a reason. Um, Many of people have been in that space before. You're not alone. Um, Man, do your best to find something out of today to be grateful for. The sun, the rain, um, a beautiful flower, a nice piece of salmon, pretty lady, something. Um, I just wanted to say that because it's a lot of people out here suffering right now and going through some really, really dark times. And yeah. But let's play some Holy Breath and get into it in a second. You feel? It's so funny being back on this planet, man. It's been such a long time. I'm coming back from Atlantis, just like, hey, oh, hey, I'm coming back from Atlantis. We coming back from Atlantis, I say. I was born on Earth, but I'm not from here. I am from the stars, I'm not talking Boulevard, oh no, no. Oh no, no, no. I was born on Earth, but I'm not from here. I am from the stars, I'm not talking Boulevard, oh no, no. I am from the sky, I am from the most high. We was one with our creator, and then we fell. Oh my God, oh my God. Oh yes, we fell. Oh yes, we fell. Oh my God. Listen up. And all is mine, all is mine, all is mine. You see, we can make our heaven, you know why? We made our hell. Just look around. Can't you tell? Okay, be careful what you think, and be careful how you move, and be careful what you say. You know why? These words are spells. These words are spells, baby. They cast a spell. They cast a spell, baby. Okay. You see, we are not the body, and we are not the flesh. It's life and the death, and this thing right here is just a test. It's just a test. To reconnect. The holy breath. I was born on Earth, but I'm not from here. I am from the stars, and I'm talking Boulevard. Oh no, no. I keep telling you. You see, I was born on Earth, but I'm not from here. I am from the stars, and I'm talking Boulevard. Oh no, no. I am from the sky, the sun of Most High. Yeah. Oh wait. The son of Most High, oh my God. Hey, and praise Allah. We are not the flesh, it's life and the death. This life right here is just a test. Oh yes, you best. Alright. Now we back. All right, peace, 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 peace. I am Rami Salam El. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. This is Moorish Koran class. We are studying from the Holy Quran, Circle 7. It was divinely prepared by the noble prophet, Drew Ali. He's a universal prophet. He came for all of humanity. Came specifically, though, for the so-called black people, so-called Negroes, so-called coloreds, so-called African Americans, so-called black Americans, so-called foundational black Americans, so-called Native American, Indian, what else we got, man? We got Afro American. Well, we got a lot of names that they placed on us. But anyways, this class we've been studying a chapter by chapter. Man, I dropped the playlist thing. Matter of fact, I should start doing that. I'll put the playlist for the rest of the Quran chapters in the description. So if you want to go back and see the other chapters. But today we are studying from chapter 36, which is holy instructions from the prophet, know thyself. And, just real quick, before we even get into the chapter, if you haven't already, you should pause this video if you're not watching live anyways. But pause the video and go check out chapter 3, which is Elihu's lessons, the unity of life, where it talks about the self, that we have a higher self and a lower self. Very important as we study to know thyself. But today we're on chapter 36. Also, I have a dictionary here that we're going to be getting to because there's a lot of words in this chapter that are like old English, I guess, or archaic kind of English. And you need to understand what it's saying. Art thou and wherefore, and what was the other? Whence. So we're going to get into the chapter, and then we're going to look up some of the words, and then get back into the lines, because there's a few of these that are very, very important. And I think we should make it a point to make sure that we study and we really understand this. All right, enough of that. Chapter 36. Holy instructions from the prophet, know thyself. Weak and ignorant as thou art, O man, humble as thou oughtest to be, O child of the dust. Wouldest thou raise thy thoughts to infinite wisdom? Wouldest thou see omnipotence displayed before thee? Contemplate thy frame. Fearfully and wonderfully art thou made. Praise, therefore, thy Creator with awe, and rejoice before him with reverence. Wherefore of all creatures art thou only erect, but that thou shouldest beholdest his works. Wherefore art thou to behold, but that thou mayest admire them. Wherefore to admire thou mayest adore their and thy Creator. Wherefore to admire thou mayest adore their and thy Creator. It's a tough line. Wherefore is consciousness reposed on thee alone, and whence is it derived to thee? It is not in flesh to think, it is not in bones to reason. The lion knoweth not that the worms shall eat him. The ox perceiveth not that he is fed for slaughter. Something is added to thee, unlike to what thou seest. Something informs thy clay, higher than all, is the object of thy senses. Behold, what is it? The body remaineth perfect after it is fled. Therefore it is no part of it. It is immaterial, therefore it is eternal. It is free to act, therefore it is accountable for its actions. Knoweth the ass, donkey, the use of food, because his teeth mow down the herbage? Or standeth the crocodile erect, although his backbone is as straight as thine? Allah formed thee as he formed these. After them all wert thou created. Superiority and command were given thee over all, and in his own breath did he communicate to thee the principle of knowledge. Know thyself and the pride of his creation, the line uniting divinity and matter. Behold a part of Allah himself within thee. Remember thy own dignity, nor dare descend to evil or to meanness. I'm going to read that line one more time. Know thyself and the pride of his creation, the line uniting divinity and matter. Behold a part of Allah himself within thee. Remember thy own dignity, nor dare descend to evil or to meanness. Who planted terror in the tail of the serpent? Who clothed the neck of the horse with thunder? Even he who hath instructed thee to crush the one under thy feet, and to tame the other to thy purpose. Whoo-wee. 11 lines, but it's a lot going on in this chapter here, man. So, when I was studying last night and this morning, getting ready for class, I was like, man, this wherefore, the wherefore lines and the whence. I'm like, what does that mean? What? And so I had to look it up. And it's really important when you're studying on your own. I just read the chapter just to read through it. But when you're studying on your own, when you get to a word that you don't know or you don't understand, just stop, grab a dictionary or pull it up on, I say grab an actual physical dictionary. But if you ain't got it, pull it up on your laptop, your tablet, whatever. And look up the definition. And look into all the definitions. See if you can find the etymology of the word. Really study the word to understand what does the word mean, and then go back into the text, read the sentence again and again and again, till you make the connection, till it makes sense to you. Right now, we're gonna look up the word wherefore and whence, because that was used a lot, and I didn't know what it meant when I started studying. So I said, yeah, it's a good one to look up. Whence is right here. Wherefore should be right around here too. Oh yeah, both of them on the same page. Pardon me. Alright, so wherefore is just so you know, WHEREFORE. Wherefore. It's listed as an adverb, interrogative. I'm not even sure what this says. Interrogo, adverb, I believe. Relative adjective, adverb. Okay, excuse me. Wherefore? For what reason? That's what it says listed. For what reason? She took an ill turn, but wherefore I cannot say. Okay, she took an ill turn, but for what reason I cannot say. So bringing it back, for what reason, to line number 3. For what reason of all creatures art thou only erect, but that thou shouldest beholdest his works, Allah's works. Okay, so for what reason of all creatures art thou the only one that's standing up, but that thou should behold the works of Allah? For what reason are you to behold the works, but that you should admire them? Okay. But for what reason should you admire them? Mayeth you adore the works and thy creator. Okay. For what reason? We rolling now. We rolling. And see, this is why it's important to look the word up, because we not just was reading wherefore of all creatures. It wasn't really clear to me. But for what reason? It's like, oh, okay, I'm following you. And the other word, whence. And that's WHENC, whence. Oh, my fault, y'all. I meant to tell you the dictionary. This is the New Oxford American Dictionary. This is an abridged one. If you can, find the older dictionaries, the unabridged. It gives you a longer and more information about words. Those are important to have. But this will do for right now, just because I don't want to get up and go get there. I know a little lazy to work with. Whence. Whence. From what place or source? From what place or source? Whence does Congress derive this power? Oh, that's perfect, because the word uses derive. Whence does Congress derive this power? From what place or source does Congress derive this power? Okay, that makes sense. And then relative adverb, from which, from where. The Ural Mountains, whence the ore is procured. And it also has to the place from which. He will be sent back whence he came. He will be sent back to the place from which he came, whence, as a consequence of which. Whence it followed that the strategies were obsolete, as a consequence of which it followed. This is okay. Usage, man, it got a lot here. It says, strictly speaking, whence means from what place, as in whence did you come. Thus, the preposition from in from whence did you come is redundant, and its use is considered incorrect by some. Okay. The use with from is very common, though, and has been used by reputable writers since the 14th century. Got it. From what place or source? So, going back to the book again. Wherefore, for what reason is the consciousness reposed on thee alone? Reposed. We should look up reposed. There's a whole lot in this one sentence. Repose. And I apologize if this seems a little boring, but this is the process that I go through when I'm studying to help me really understand what's being said in this book or anything that I'm reading. Just not so I'm reading the words and just reading through them, but I'm really reading to understand and to comprehend. Repose, noun, temporary rest from activity, excitement, or exertion, sleep or rest given by sleep, a state of peace, composure, be lying, situated, or kept in a particular place. And then repose, the verb transitive, repose something in, place something, especially one's confidence or trust in. We have never betrayed the trust that you have reposed in us. I think this is the one that's kind of talking about here. Okay. Place something, especially one's confidence in. Place something in. Got it. That's it. Place something in. Boom. All right. So now, going back to the line, this is line 4 from chapter 36. Wherefore is consciousness reposed on thee alone, and whence is it derived to thee? Translated, for what reason is consciousness placed on thee alone, or in thee alone, and from what place or source is it derived to thee? Oh, I forgot to derive too. So you can look up derived as well. I'm not gonna look up that too, but that's just an example, one, of how to understand what's being said, and two, this line is really deep when you start to really think and reflect on it. I wanted to highlight another line here that I just feel is important. It said, line 7, the body remaineth perfect after it is fled, therefore it is no part of it. It is immaterial, therefore it is eternal. It is free to act, therefore it is accountable for its actions. And that's referring, if you go up to line 6, something is added to thee, unlike that what we see, unlike the creation that we see out in the world, the dogs and the cats and the birds and the squirrels and all of that. Something is added to us. It's unlike what we see out here. Something informs thy clay. Higher than all is the object of thy senses. And behold, what is it? It is free to act, therefore it is accountable for its actions. That's the thing that's really important to understand about who we are, truly. That whole free will, because we have that, we are accountable for our actions, the things that we will ourselves to do. So we got to be mindful of how we act, how we think, how we speak, what we do. In line 10, know thyself and the pride of his creation. You got to really peep that. Know thyself and the pride of his creation. The line uniting divinity and matter. Behold a part of Allah himself within thee. I ain't say it, the book is saying this now. A part of our Creator is within us. Remember thy own dignity, nor dare descend to evil or to meanness. We had a free will to act, therefore we're accountable for our actions. We got a higher self and a lower self. We have to know thyself. Who are we truly? Are we our higher self or are we our lower self? I'm not going to tell you that answer. You got to investigate, do some research, do some study. It's in here, chapter 3. Go check it out. This is an important chapter here. There's one more line that I wanted to just go back and highlight. No, actually, I think I did already. Yeah, I think know thyself. Yeah. Very important, though, to know thyself. Who are you? You know what I mean? Who are you? Word to El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, also known as Malcolm X. You're not black. You're not so-called Negroes. You're not colored folk. Who are you? Who are you really? Know thyself. Peace. I didn't have too much. Well, actually, we got it since we kind of short chapter. Next chapter is the breath of heaven. Another deep chapter. But since I got a little time, I'll read a little tiny bit, just give you a little hint on chapter 3. And any questions, let me know. It says, there are two selves, the higher self and the lower self. The higher self is human spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. The higher self is human spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. And back in chapter 36, it said, behold, a part of Allah himself within thee. All right, back to chapter 3. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, is a reflection of the higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. I'm going to go back to chapter 36. Go back to chapter 36 real quick. Behold, a part of Allah himself within thee. Remember thy own dignity, nor dare descend to evil or to meanness. Back to chapter 3. The higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. All right, let me stop there. Got to study. Again, this is the Holy Koran, Circle 7. The Holy Koran of the Moorish Temple of America. It was divinely prepared by Noble Drew Ali, prophet, universal prophet, very much like Prophet Muhammad, Prophet Jesus, Confucius, Buddha, Moses, shout out Akhenaten, you know what I mean? Shout out Zoroaster, shout out all the prophets named and unnamed, known and unknown. Peace be upon them all. Yeah, I think that's all I had. Was there any questions for today? It's a short class today, but I figured we just get right to it. double check. Know thyself. You know, knowledge of self. When you hear people talk about, oh, they got knowledge of self, do they really? What does that mean? What is self? Which self are you talking about? Talking about your higher self or your lower self? You got knowledge of both. Which one are you in? Which one are you operating from? Are you operating from your higher self or your lower self? If you're saying you a God, quote unquote, but you're doing evil and mean things, are you truly on your God self? Some things to think about. I don't see any questions. Peace, peace, peace. Peace to LJ Davidson. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Peace to Supreme Duff. Khalil. I believe that's Khalil Bey. Islam. Ahmad. Peace. Anya. Peace. Peace to everyone watching this. Right now, later, tomorrow, in the evening, 3 a.m., whenever you stumble onto this, I appreciate you studying with us. Please read this for yourself. Don't believe what I'm saying, because man knows nothing by being told. So look up these words, study the definition, study the etymology, get into the text, read it for yourself, contemplate on it, reflect on it, and then act on it. You know what I mean? I think that's all I got for today. Yeah, that's it. Oh, man. Question at the last. Oh, it's like 3 seconds about to. Got it in. Hakeem Rashid L. Is it good to read the oral statements and prophecies of Prophet Noble Drew Ali? Man, this be one of them times where I wish I had it like right here. I'd be like, whoop. But I don't got it right here. But yes, it's important to read all of the information that Noble Drew Ali brought, because he's a universal prophet. But it's also important to read all of the information that all of the prophets brought. That's also what it teaches in this book. At the very last line, the very last chapter. But as it relates to your question, yes, study the oral statements and prophecies. But what I would caution you to do is to understand that those are things that people are saying that the prophet said, and just be mindful of that. Much like it's similar. Let me just say not much like it's similar to Hadith. Orthodox Muslims, our Muslim brothers and sisters in the East, or they study. Boom. The Quran. Boom. Prophet Muhammad, they have a system as it relates to Hadith, statements that were recorded that Prophet Muhammad said. But they have a system that they go by where they can trace who said this, are they reliable, where is this coming from, so on and so forth, so they can know whether or not, okay, this Hadith or this statement is super valid, or we can't trust this because we don't know about my man. You know what I mean? He said he was down with the brother, but we don't really know. So with the Hadith, there's a more organized and systematic way to study the information, whereas the oral statements and prophecies, we don't really have that system, fully established like that. So just keep that in mind. Oh, peace, peace, peace. Islam Moreno L. Peace, peace. Appreciate the question. I think we are done. Yeah, I think we're done. trying to think. I feel like, am I forgetting anything? Next week next Sunday we'll be here again studying chapter 37. It's called a Isnad. Thank you. Thank you. Let me drop that. Isnad. Appreciate Ahmad. Isnad. From Arabic, Sanad support. I'm looking up Britannica. I'll drop the link in there for y'all. Boom. Thank you for that. It's not in Islam a list of authorities who have transmitted a report, hadith, of a statement, action, or approbation of Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, of one of his companions, Sahaba, or of a later authority. Tabdi? That's tough. I don't know. Its reliability determines the validity of a hadith. Isnad precedes the actual text and takes the form, it has been related to me by A on the authority of B, on the authority of C, on the authority of D, usually a companion of the Prophet, that Muhammad said. Ooh, so it breaks down. That's the science right there. Appreciate it. That's the science for brothers and sisters to study the Hadith. And we, Muslims, Moorish Americans, followers of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, we should be implementing also a science to how we study, right? I mean, it's only right. It is the Moorish Temple of America, right? Appreciate that. I appreciate that. And that's a wrap, man. I appreciate y'all. I'm about to get to this elderberry tea. Much love to you. Oh, that last thing before I close up out of here. Last thing, forgot. Doing all this studying, all this is important, but if you don't put the love in it, man, if you don't got that love in it, none of it, it's not gonna matter. It's not gonna connect. It's not really gonna work. So you gotta get the love in it. Love yourself. Love others. That's the way, man. Love is the key. Much love to you and yours. Yeah, peace.